Hey, what's up, what's up? So let's talk about MTV SHUGA Mashariki. Made a post about how I felt about some things, and I just need to clear out what I think. I think these days we are talking about what an iseme nitoke. Let me say it so that it can get out of my system. Because first of all, I am so happy that a lot of the people who are going to be behind the scenes are Kenyans. So it's not about having Kenyans in front of the screen and then the people who actually a lot of the people who are working behind the scenes are, are not from Kenya. So I'm glad. Likarion, congratulations. Mkaiwawi, congratulations. June, Ndinya, congratulations. Ruben, congratulations. Enos, congratulations. As you know, and it's a cinematographer from Kenya. Actually, that's pretty cool. It's not a South African cinematographer. I have nothing against South African cinematographers, but at least this is a Kenyan cinematographer. So I'm really, really happy. And I don't think you guys understand just how much of a big deal this is, because if you think of productions like this, MTV or any South African production, whatever station or streaming service or any South African service or from any other different country, they love to bring their crew and then pick native actors, people to be in front of the screen. I think now you did the same thing where you have people who come from a different country come in and then look for local people to do most of the work. But most of the executive producers, cinematographers, directors, you'll have a lot of people from a foreign country. I'm not hating on Nawi. Nawi is a fantastic film, but it is what it is. It's executive produced by a lot of Germans, and it's also half directed by a German, half produced by a German and a Kenyan. That's a fact. I'm just being factual. You can check IMDb. So I like the fact that they've tried to make this fully Kenyan. That's a great thing. And the talent that has been selected here is amazing. I agree with it 100%. No, I agree with it 80%, because if you saw my Instagram page, you know why I'm making this video, because of one guy called Eduji and another person called Jennifer Gatero. Now, I'm not speaking for them because they can speak for themselves. If this is my opinion, if I was to make this SHUGA, who would I add? Because you already have this is like Avengers. And so I'm not saying that you substitute people, because whatever they selected is perfect. And I'm very, very confident that whatever they've selected is a reflection of what they want to do, the story they want to tell. I'm sure they looked at their story, and I'm sure 100% that they said these are the best people for this particular job. No doubts. Yeah, maybe 20% doubt, but like the 80%, I'm like, yeah, I'm very, very confident with what they did. But if I was to just add two more people, it would be Jennifer Gatero and Eduji. Why? That's a major question. Eduji, because of what he did with On Air, and around working with young people, and how he was able to bring together something so familiar, something that we actually know, and gave it a spin that made it its own thing. I think that's one thing that I was impressed, very, very impressed with that particular movie. I was also impressed by the ending, because most of the shows and movies in Kenya, one of the biggest problems that I've noted that they have, one huge major one, is completing a movie, finishing that third act, that ending, how to end a movie has been a problem. It's usually good or mediocre. I mean, you can look at everything that has been done. It's okay. You go like, yeah, it's fine. It's a closing. It doesn't leave you going like, damn, that was good. And that's how I felt about On Air. I thought it was set up very well. I thought that the whole movie was handled professionally with little to no budget. I think you can see the limited budget, but you can see how this particular director was able to navigate all those challenges and actually make something that feels, it's not unique, but in relation to what we already see in Kenya, there's a touch in that particular movie that I don't see in a lot of Kenyan productions. I'm not saying other people do a terrible job, but there's something unique about that particular movie that I do not see in other shows. That's Eduji, and how he was able to complete his movie. This is the thing about On Air. On Air, I went like, okay, volume 1, I went like, okay, what's going on? Then I went like, oh, okay. Then by the time you get to the second act, I was like, I was like, yeah. Then I was laughing at some point. I was like, okay. I love how the director was able to elevate the tension. It's not in the writing. You can clearly see in some directional choices in that movie that he was able to elevate some scenes. Yes, I know there's a lot of exposition when whatever is supposed to be discovered is discovered and the character goes off. But generally, I like how that build-up was set up, number one, and how the payoff was fantastic. And then now you go into this other ending that is, you know what's going to happen, but it's that one little thing that the director decides to do with the character that just elevates that ending. So, to be honest, I just felt extremely disappointed that he's not a part of this team. Because, again, you have a cinematographer director, you have the executive producer who is Ruben, who is also a director. You have Likarion, who is obviously good with, you can tell that he has a touch in writing. He's a writer-director. You can feel, if you've ever watched any of his shows or movies, you can tell that he has a lot of writing influence in how he, fleshes out his characters in terms of direction. So that you can tell from Likarion. From Mkaiwawi, I saw she did, what is this movie called? Makosani Yangu. I don't know how much she did in that movie, but the only thing I can remember from that movie was how it was stitched together, how it was structured, because it's a free-flowing movie. It flows it's very consistent in its tone. So I would assume that she had a lot of influence from editing. You can tell that there's an editing influence. And that's why I thought Edu would be, it would be good for this particular show, because he also has an editing background, a strong editing background. Go check out his IMDb or just check him out. He has edited a lot of other movies, and you can see that on air. Anyway, that's enough about Edu, underrated. Let's talk about Jennifer Gatero and why I thought she should be in this particular, she should be a director in this particular show. I know these people are never going to be, because everything has been decided by MTV, and MTVs are the gods, the demigods. They say, we have decided, and so these people do. So I don't expect to see anything, but if I was doing it, I would have Jennifer Gatero, specifically because if you follow me, you know how I talk about her. She knows how to direct young people. Yeah. Changing Times, then you had Nairobi. Is it Nairobi? Yeah, you had also that. And you can actually tell how she's able to work around young people, how she's able to push them to bring out whatever the director, whatever she wants them to bring out. And if there is a director I have confidence when it comes to young people, it's Jennifer Gatero. Yeah, I'm not saying that these other directors don't know what they're supposed to do. They're pretty awesome. But for me, with young people specifically, Jennifer Gatero. She's one of those directors that I look at her work and go like, she understands that gap between 18 and 25. That particular age group, she's very good with the actors, number one, and the characters. So that was my biggest problem. Now, this is not a problem. This is not me complaining. These are not nitpicks. This is not me saying, oh, you're wrong, this is going to be terrible. No, I am very confident that these people know what they're doing. I mean, it's Shuga, man. And I'm very, very confident in the skill of the people who are behind the scene. That announcement was pretty awesome. Now, outside that, I just want us to talk about the website, where they went like, oh, Shuga is on production. Love that. I love the fact that they have a website that is keeping us in touch. But going through that story, that's the laziest thing I've ever seen. That's one of the laziest press releases that I've ever read. Why? You have Likarion Wainaina. You have Enos Olik. You have Ruben being an executive producer. You have Mkaiwawi. I can't that name. Yeah, you have her. She did one of the biggest movies from last year. You have June, who has done Prefects. all these are some of the best that we have in the country. You know, and you need to understand that people from all over the world are going to be seeing that website. How can this be so? This is one of the most basic press releases I've ever seen. To just give you an idea, this is literally people saying we have an orange. An orange is a fruit that is color orange, and it grows on an orange tree. That's what this particular website is doing. It doesn't give us anything more to work with. What do I mean? Ideally, because you're working with Kenya's creme de la creme, you need to hype them up. You need to set them up in relation to your production. It's MTV SHUGA. How are they relevant? How is what they've done in the past relevant to what they're doing right now? I know you try to do that with the women, but the other thing that annoyed me about that session is that you've reduced them to represent women. Yeah, because these are awesome directors. I mean, one person directed a TV show for TV. Do you know how much pressure that is? This is not streaming, this is traditional TV. Yeah, you know, for TV, for people to watch around the country. It's not on some fancy streaming service where you know you can go through a particular direction. This is designed for the masses, different kind of people. How much pressure is there, and how does that play into what you want to produce? How does a colleague's history with music videos affect what you're about to do? How does Likarion's ability to bring out fleshed out characters, put them in a world and make everything feel believable, relevant to what you want to say? How is Mkaiwawi ability to bring out the pain of a situation based on makosa ni yangu into what you're about to present? You just don't say, oh, Likarion is this and is this and is this, he did supermodel, let's move on. It's like it was written by AI. That's extremely poor. I would expect you to dig deeper into these people, because they are some of Africa's finest. You dig into them, then you give us an idea of who they are in relation to what you are just about to produce, because I'm sure you already have a story. I'm sure there's a direction that you want to take your story. So how are they related? How is what they've done historically and their current set of skills relevant to what they're about to produce? More Fire was produced by who? Ruben. So it's basically dealing with a lot of young people and bringing out the best out of young people, especially in relation to Kenya, and basically capturing the country. So he will be in the best position to be the executive producer, because he was able to actually find a way of capturing the country and capturing the young people in a much more realistic way. Those are the kind of things that you're supposed to be telling us, not telling us the obvious. You could actually Google these people and find better information about them than what you presented. So I'm not telling you to change anything, but I thought that was extremely poor, especially considering the fact that these are supposed to be Kenya's finest. You make them feel like Kenyan finest in relation to what you produced. Anyway, that's what I think. I'm never going to complain about MTV SHUGA again, and I'm not complaining. There are just a few observations. I know some people look at this, oh, the digital age is farming. No, I thought the choices were very, very interesting. Yeah, and if I was to go back to Mkaiwawi and June, yes, they are women. Does it mean that Likarion cannot direct a woman? Does it mean that Enosuli cannot frame in a woman to make her look like a woman? Is being a director downgraded to actually understanding characters, to understanding a particular group of people? Yeah, I thought that was poorly done, because I believe that June and Mkaiwawi can direct male characters very, very well, and can also direct female characters very, very well. I think you should talk about them like experienced directors. It's not just about women. Yeah, I think that's a huge downgrade, because you're literally saying, oh, we picked these people because of their gender. It has nothing to do with their skill, but yeah, we picked them primarily because they're women, not because they're good at what they do. That's what you're saying. So yeah, that website, you need to do more. You need to not necessarily tell us more, but hype these talents that you have, because you have some of the best. And I think there's more that you can say about them in relation to what you are doing that would make this feel larger. Because I think for me, this is a huge deal. This is a very big deal because it's a very local, it's a very Kenyan production. The next thing we want to know, the writers, editors, all these other people, the executive producers. Is this some random white dudes in South Africa who are going to gain from anyway? You know what? Basically, that's it. Those are some of the opinions that really, really bothered me about what was presented about MTV. Now, I totally get it why Kenyan producers, directors never want to talk about their production before it's out, because you'll have people like myself coming out and going like, oh, you should have changed. I get you guys right now. So basically that's it. Remember to always watch what you enjoy and enjoy what you watch. I shall see you on the next one. Adios.